Imagine it is 1095. You are a member of the Byzantine Empire, and your emperor has just told you y'all will go on a crusade for the Holy Land. But that's not all. No. You look into the distance and you see a wheelchair rolling towards you. Who could that be? It's Johnny Joestar. Today I asked you the question, how long would it take Johnny Joestar to stop the Holy War, stop the Crusaders? Now, this is a question that has somewhat plagued my mind for a few days, and I think I have some viable answers. Now, first, I want to give you just a little bit of context for Johnny Joestar and how he's prepared for this. You see, Johnny Joestar in some ways took part in his own crusade, but not for a holy land, but rather for a holy corpse. Yes, I have to mention the holy corpse that Johnny Joestar did end up getting and bringing back to the U.S. government to keep safe. He retrieved the holy corpse from a place of danger, a place of worry, did something that in a lot of the crusades after the first crusade did not work, that just didn't work. Look it up. The West failed like a lot of crusades. But that's why I chose the first crusade, because they weren't that bad in it. They did decent. And that's why I asked you the question, would Johnny stop? I mean, of course, we have to also look at how many soldiers. What's known is that the West and the Byzantine Empire and everyone who sent help, that's around at least 500,000 soldiers. I may be boosting the numbers a little bit, but it's whatever. Now, a year after that, by 1997, the West and the Byzantine Empire had already marched to the Holy Land, and they had launched their first attack, which was a big W. Now, I want Johnny to stop them before then. That's the time frame I'm going for. So if Johnny has to go against all the soldiers, I have to give him a few friends. So of course you have to add Gyro. You have to add Hot Pants. I guess you have to add Diego. But you also have to remember, Johnny has infinite rotation. See, the weapons they had back then, it wasn't awful, but it wasn't anything compared to something like infinite rotation. What are you going to do when you see your own fellow soldier start spinning and they can't stop? They'll never stop. Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to charge towards that, or are you going to leave the battlefield? See, that's what people don't be thinking about, especially because there's not one infinite spin user. Gyro's also there too. I think what Johnny first has to do is march through Western Europe. Him and his group march through Western Europe. Start taking out high official knights, take their costume, meet with the king, threaten the king, tell him, hey, you're gonna die right here, right now, if you don't call off this holy war, this crusade. And that's a rinse and repeat method, but that's one method. You could do that anywhere in the war. See, I'm trying to get Johnny just to call off the war. It's not even necessarily making Europe call off the war. It's mostly trying to make Europe call off the war, but I'm just saying, it's like rinse and repeat, take out a few high-ranking officials, threaten the king. Maybe, if you have to get down and dirty, threaten the family. Not for real. Don't do that. Honestly, with Diego traveling with them, I wouldn't put it too far past them. But I think with that in mind, Johnny could end it in around 3 or 4 months, right? And people may say, oh, but what about the citizens? What about the people who revolt? See, this is where you also have to think, right? A lot of the Crusades happened because Christians wanted the Holy Land, and a lot of European countries were poor. It was a dual thing, right? Now there are other reasons, but like those are the only two reasons I'm going to mention, right? Honestly, with the First Crusades, money wasn't that much of an issue. It was really just, religion. But I'm saying this. I think if Johnny could convince the Pope to call off his call for everyone to march to the Holy Lands to reclaim it from Muslim invaders, quote unquote, then he would stop it, But how long would that take him? I think he arrives there in Western Europe, makes his way through, and he meets with the Pope. And he just tells them, man, and some people, that sounds like a poor solution, but like only one of them has infinite rotating nails. But really at max, I think it takes him 6 months. 6 months for Johnny to clean up Western Europe and stop them. Maybe even 6 months to see what the Byzantine Empire would have did if Western Europe didn't come to help them against the Muslim invaders, quote unquote, as history calls them. But if you didn't do this video, and if you can even call this a video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. This is just a random thing I thought of after someone in my Discord asked me to do it. But until next time, peace.
Y'all, we just got one of the biggest stand reveals. Sorry, scratch that. The biggest stand reveal in a long, long time. Now, of course, this video is Jojo Land spoilers. I don't know why I'm saying that right now when you probably saw that in the title. But let's get on with it. Now, this chapter, I want to say 32, officially marks the end of the Lava Rock arc. Basically, this whole entire arc we've been on since we've gotten the appearance of Rohan Kashibe. And in this arc, I'll give you a brief little recap before I actually go in, but in this arc, it starts off with Aka Howler basically losing his fucking mind. And how could you not? Your company that has been around for 8 or so generations, every generation before you has lived and died rich and famous and fine, all until now, where now the media, everyone's pressuring you about illegal weapons, which you probably made. And to make matters worse, a group of 6 kids or 6 teens and adults have broken into your shit and have been wreaking havoc the entire fucking time. How could you not lose your mind? But as we saw, as the chapter broke down, that was the least of his worries, because Jojo had 1, made the ship start sinking, and 2, the actual fucking canon president right now literally sent an executive order to go and detain Aka Howler. And that meant you had these police officers flying over the boat, coming down just to come get Aka Howler real quick and take him out of there. And this is all culminated at the point where, if you've been catching up to the story, they're trying to get him to sign the documents over and sign the rights over to them. And initially he's like, fuck no, you think you got me. And this is where we initially were about to start seeing his stand. But once he was detained, he was detained and he was surrounded by reporters, because not only was the police there, a bunch of reporters were on the docks and stuff, a bunch of just people looking around staring at him. He decided to sign over the rights. He said, give me the pen and I will sign it. And for all intents and purposes, that's what he did. They gave him the pen. He did sign it. Now, did he kill someone after he signed it? Yes, but he signed it. And this is where we see his stand and somewhat of his stand ability, and holy fuck, does it look very, very, very nice. I enjoy it so good. I love that main, if he is the main villain, I love that main villain design. Personally, I think he probably is, because for one, this is, at the end it does say this is the official end of that arc, but we've gotten so much exposition and things about him that if he's not the main villain, I think he'll probably be like the second to last villain, you know, or like the main and or not the main antagonist, but like, you know, the medium, the neutral, somewhat like Diego and Jobin. Because again, I personally was shocked when I saw him sign the document, then disappear. Because I'm pretty sure that's how a stand ability works. And of course, it would make sense with this being this part, at least what we believe, this part to be the counterpart of part 5. That would make sense. Because the way his stand, at least from what we saw, worked was a bunch of mist came around the boat, and then next thing you know, you see Howler, then you don't. Someone stabbed in the neck, and it kind of looked like a time skip, which gives me so much joy, bro. Oh my god, if that stand is a time skip stand, oh my god, I'm going to be excited. And speaking of the stand, we also have to just take a second and talk about the character design, man. Oh, Rocky, you still got it. You still got it. I already knew he still had it with Howler's design because it's so nice, but his stand's design being nice too is crazy. It reminds me a lot, I've heard this a lot too, of Purple Haze. Some people have said Sea Moon. I can kind of see Sea Moon somewhat, but again, I can't put a definite answer to why I think his ability actually is. I want it to be a time skip or somewhat similar to a time skip ability. Of course, I don't want it to be like carbon copy time skip ability, but I want it to be slightly similar. So that's my biased answer. But I've also seen people be like, oh, it's probably something to do with Earth, which again makes a lot more sense because again, who he is, who his family is, and what he does, you know, that all that combination goes into a stand because a stand is a reflection of that person or that character's life or that character's morality or the character, you know, of the character's everything, the character's soul. But man, oh man, that design was something beautiful. And honestly, I think I like the spikes that poke out of its ears too. I've liked a lot of recolor designs I've seen. Of course, all of them are green because we've been waiting for a long time to see the rest of his stand. Because I remember it was like 2 years ago we saw the start of his stand, which was it in like, I guess it's, I don't know what format it is. Oh yeah, if you were also invested in the chapter, just to tell you at the end of the chapter, the lava rock crumbles. Again, makes somewhat sense. I'm really liking the direction Araki's taking this part. But yeah, I'm sorry if I just keep repeating those words, but it's like seeing that stand design is so fire, especially after me personally, I've been theorizing about this shit for so fucking long. Oh my god, like we are in a great point too right now because we're at chapter 32, and from here on we're just going to keep going up. That next arc is probably going to be so fire. I hope in the next arc we see something about the president. I hope the president is Funnier Valentine. Imagine he canonizes Funnier Valentine. That shit, I don't want to say funny, it would be hilarious. But it's great to see this new stand and just to see Jojo Lands being such a good part, because for that to be what, the second arc, first officially long arc, that was so elite. Oh my god. But if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We're on the road to 10K, so anything helps. And until next time, peace. Last night I had to play rereading the JoJoian last 10 chapters, and man oh man, will I just say, everyone, I had forgotten how good those 10 chapters were. Beauty. And this video is just to appreciate those chapters. Now, there will be people in the comments like, oh, I didn't like it, and that's fine. You can feel like it was a little rushed. I personally do feel like it was a little rushed because as I was reading, I felt like some points it felt like Hirohiko Araki was just trying to finish up the story, was just trying to wrap it up at some points, not the entire time. But I still did very much enjoy part 8. I enjoyed JoJoian, And those last 10 chapters, to me, they just solidified it as a top part. Maybe, maybe it's a top 3 part, even though I would have to move down some personal favorites just because of how good JoJolion was. As far as thinking goes, with JoJolion, you could quite literally think about everything because those last 10 chapters, Hirohiko Araki throws what feels like a bunch of different things that you could analyze and think about. And I feel like he did really well on character conclusions this time around. Even though, in my opinion, that's something I don't think he necessarily misses at. When we're talking about character conclusions, especially from the Gashita family, and especially the way he was writing the narration, it was beautiful. Like, I don't know if some of you do remember, some of you may or may not, but at the end, in the spoilers, at the end, after Kaito dies from the calamity of her taking out Toru, we get the narration asking or saying, this is the story of curses, and they go into this narration asking questions. What did this person do? What did this member of the Gashita family do? And why are they here? You know what I mean? Now, when talking about the last 10 chapters, we're going to talk about the actual story of it. And I will say this. I think the actual story of those chapters was still elite. Because even if you're just trying to focus on Go Beyond versus Wonder Review, one thing that I think everyone tends to forget with Go Beyond and Josuke as a character in general, his entire existence in universe is illogical. Like, there's no real, like, of course there are reasons and explanations for his existence, but like, before he did what he did, that just wouldn't have happened. It had never happened in Morio before. Well, it kind of did with, you know, the corpse, but you get what I mean. It wasn't going to happen in Morio again, as far as we know. But since they had created the new Rokakaka, and the new Rokaka's specific power was to take the injuries of the other person and transfer them onto someone else, effectively leaving the original person healthy and the other person injured as the same as the original. That them doing that, for one, creating the new Rokakaka, then them creating the wall eyes by using it there, it was something that no one foresaw coming. That's the exact reason why in JoJolion, for most of the part, they just look at Josuke weird, because yes, Josuke looks like he straight up robbed Yoshikage Kira, but just because he looks like that, they can't be like, are you Yoshikage Kira? Are you? Like, because he doesn't look like him. He looks somewhat like him, but not like him. So I say that to say his existence in Morio is illogical. It makes no sense to anyone and everybody around him. And you know, the rules of logic are basically what power the calamities and Wonder Review, the natural rules of logic of this world. And I say that to say, when Wonder Review is officially hit by one of the Go Beyond bubbles, he is in such disbelief, and he has to sit there and realize, holy shit, it literally does not exist in this world, so no one can see it, but it's so deadly that I could die from it pretty quickly. Then also, moving on to the stuff with Yasho, I have to say this. Yes, the Yasho stuff is insanely weird. I find that shit so weird. I'm like, you've been coming into this girl's life her entire life. But you have to think about why, and these are the two things, you know, I've been thinking about a little bit. For one, Totoro, him coming around her entire life is like him going to the grocery store, you know. And I don't say that to make it sound any less weird of what he's doing. I say that because you have to think about it on the level he is. He's at the very least 90 something years old, and that's what we know. Like, that's what we know. We know at the very least he's at least 90 something years old. Meaning by this point in time, it's probably passing so fast for him. that every year probably feels like maybe 4 months, something like that. So to him, that's why when he was talking to Yasuo so much, he was like, "Oh, I don't want you to die. We have so many memories." Because to him, all he has is memories, and those memories to him are mad recent. Like to him meeting Yasuo for the first time and her pointing him in the direction of the doctor was literally not too long ago. It should probably feel like yesterday to him. Then it's on top of the fact Yasuo was probably so, and again, this is awful, but she was probably so easy access when you look at who her parents were and even who they are in the narrative of the story. Her mom is nowhere to be seen the entirety of JoJolian because she's drunk. She's drunk and she's asleep and she's hungover and she's at home and she's a classic drunk. She reminds me a lot of Yusuke's mother, right? So if there's no one to supervise you, no one to watch you, you've been getting picked on, you've been getting bullied, there will be a snake in the garden to make you feel better before they bite you. And that's exactly what Toru did. Whenever he came back, he was coming back for the right amount of information for whatever he needed, and then he would disappear right in time before he had to hibernate again. This is the last bit of the story I'm going to talk about because I don't want the video to go way over long. But I also want to talk about the brief flashback we got with Jobin and Kaito, and even just that whole Jobin, Kaito, Tsurugi dynamic that we got in at the ending. I want to say this for one, I feel like Araki flexed his side character writing muscle with Jobin because he had given Jobin, at least to me, the perfect amount of like balance and split, all the while fully showcasing his downward spiral into a descent of madness. That it was, because you could see how different, even subtly, he acts with his mom, and then with the rest of his family, the rest of the Higashikata family, and you see how even him doing that was already breaking his mind. Then you also have to add on the fact that now he's in a three-way conflict where no one can know that it's him who's the one who actually controls the fruit because they found out. Well, we saw what happened when they found out. So to write a character with that much of insurmountable pressure on him, and then to write his mother as the matriarch who basically dropped all the family pressure on his head. So exploring the eldest son trope while having a loving and caring mother who would do anything for him, but still she's going behind the back of the rest of her family in favor of him. I loved it. Because in her dialogue, she literally says, when Jobin's questioning, he's like, "Oh, maybe I should tell Dad." She literally, for one, she smacks him and she says, "Did you forget? Family," it was like family eliteness or something of that word choice over morality. She's the one who instilled that in him, while his father was the one who was telling him the opposite, causing a conflict within his own mind. Wow, like all the while he has to put on this facade to everybody. "Oh yeah, I'm good, I'm cool," because he got a wife, he got a kid, he has everything, and he stood to lose everything. And I don't think that's what he realized as he was gaining more and more, which again is another reason why I love his character so much. And I feel like that's why we saw Jobin parent Tsurugi the way he did, because that was the only way he had known how to be parented, Or honestly, I feel like with Jobin, it was somewhat, his parenting style was somewhat of a balance between both of his parents, because yes, he did act like Kaito sometimes, especially when we were getting to like the later parts and he started involving Tsurugi directly in the plan. He acted a lot like Kaito, but then before that, it was a lot more Norisuke-ish, But honestly, a lot of this can just be breaking off into its own YouTube video. I can talk about that for a while, whatever. But I want to get to like the next and last part of this video because I don't want to make this video 50 fucking minutes. Because like, I know y'all would probably love it, but that's a lot of editing, man. But yeah, to end this off, I want to talk about Toru for a little bit. And more specifically, I want to talk about his last panel and how much I really enjoyed that. If you do want a full video on him, I can give you that. But I'm going to talk about his last panel. In the last panel, he sees what he believes to be a hornet. And he even thinks in his head, only for him to realize it was just a memory, right? Now, the reason I love that panel so much is because the hornet is his only memory, his only remembrance of actual personal warmth. Warmth that came from a being that, even though felt like he was an invasive species and wanted to get him out, that was the only place he grew and he gained nutrients and he was comfortable and he felt like he was somewhat safe. And this comes off of him, especially for the last 15-20 chapters. He talks extensively about memories. He talks about how the sweet memories are all he has sometimes, and again, it makes sense. He's been alive for so long. But he talks about how the memories are all he has. But to see him change, especially, and I'm going to dip a little bit into like his last few words and dialogue, because as he realized Tsurugi was about to transfer the curse to him and he was about to die, he tried to do the common manipulation tactic. Oh, Yasho, help me, please. But then it sounds like true desperation, because he realizes he's really going to die. Something that he had never even thought would happen anytime soon, or really at all. I mean, his stand is so ridiculous that he probably thought he would be able to live as long as he wanted and just continue to follow his ambitions and what he foresees for the world. So the idea that really, because you can fact check me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this is the only time we actually see him fucking yell in the manga. But the idea that the only time he yells is literally the last time he can fully say words, and all he says is Yasho, get this fucking bitch off me. And I'm laughing because it's funny, but truly, that's kind of sad if you actually think about it. Imagine being alive for so long, no one's ever even came close to killing you, and now you're at the point you're about to die, and this is the first time you felt real fear. Real fear. That's what makes his last moment and his last thoughts even better. Because for you to feel real fear, for the first time, real emotions. Because if I remember correctly, rock humans, they don't have they have emotions, they don't have connections. But for you to feel real emotions, real connections to somebody for the first time, and all it truly was the memory of you searching for a hornet so that you can suck its nutrients and basically act like an invasive species for years. It's insane for Araki to put that in, especially because to me this was like his human moment. This was Toru's moment where you can actually say he even felt like somewhat of a human, because he felt like he wanted that love again. What he thought was that love again, from the only thing that was actually keeping him warm. And this is a direct contrast from someone like Josuke, who literally just became a human. Or I don't know if it's a contrast, maybe a comparison, but it's Josuke who just became a human and just accepted himself for what being a human is and being in a family is. And that's how he learned to be a human, by being with the Hokagekhi family. But I don't know. I'm just a nigga on the internet yapping. What do I know? But if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. You know we're on the road to 10K, so anything helps. Make sure you go read that Jojo ending. And until next time, peace. Crashing out is an art form. It is a technique, if you may, that is so utilized a lot throughout the entire world that a lot of people don't realize they're utilizing a technique. Because when you crash out, it's not just getting angry, no. It's losing your fucking mind. It may be something small, it may be something big, but you're just losing it. And that's why today we're going to talk about the biggest crash outs in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. And I don't want to keep you waiting for too long. So first, we have Dio Brando. And I can honestly, I'm only when we're talking about the biggest crash out, I'm only going to talk about part 1 Dio. Talking about part 3 Dio would be a little bit too much. I feel like those need 2 separate segments, you know what I mean? But part 1 Dio, that man crashed out so fucking bad. It was kind of ridiculous. And when you actually look at the facts of it and what everything that is canon, it makes it even worse. Yes, did Dio live an awful life at the beginning of his life? 100%. No one can take that away from him. The first 12 years of his life sucked. By the time he's 13, both his parents are dead. You know, he's been poor all his life. Yes, that sucks, right? But his crash out doesn't even come when he's 13. It comes when he finally puts the stone mask on for real. Because if you remember, this was during the time Jonathan went to Ogre Street to find out what was wrong with his father and if Dio actually poisoned him. And Dio was low-key scrambling. So he started researching and investigating the stone mask. And this is where, you know, that night he initially tried it and put it on somebody. Ended up getting someone killed and almost died himself, only for the sun to come up, saving his fucking life. But after that, and he realized that the stone mask literally gives them superhuman, inhuman strength, gives them inhuman abilities. He was like, oh yeah, it's over. And that's where we see Dio quite literally throw away his entire humanity. Not there, but when his brother confronted him. And the reason I call this the biggest crash out is because imagine you've been living someplace for the past like 6 years. You know what I mean? You don't like the people, but you were only planning on stealing their money and maybe killing one of them. But you find a way to have a vampire mask that gives you insane, ungodly powers, and you say, yep, I'm gonna kill y'all. Because that's immediately after he does what he does after he puts on his stone mask. He says, I want Joestar blood to activate this shit. And he threw a knife at Jonathan. Whoa. Then, to make matters worse, after that, when he first gets his abilities, he slightly tests them by allowing himself to get shot like 35 fucking times. But then after that, he started running through them all like a fucking freight train. To the point where he burned down the Joestar mansion. Do you understand how crazy that is? And the rest of part 1 happened like during that week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. It was not that long. The only thing that was like a time skip for real was like Jonathan and Arena getting married. Before that, there was almost no time skip. So you just look at the shit, you're like, fuck, what is wrong with you? Next we have Fugo, and in all honesty, yeah, he's another one of the biggest crash outs in the entirety of JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, because I can honestly pick up at any point that we learn about Fugo from almost birth, it seems like. Even in his backstory, it mentions it. He's always had crazy anger issues. But the reason you have to call him one of the biggest is simply because his stand is a flesh-eating, instant death virus. A flesh-eating, instant death virus. And it can kill him too. So you're going to tell me that stand isn't the biggest crash out stand you got? Like, even its description is just made to lose its fucking mind. It's made not to be used in almost any situations unless you're ready to die. Like, I need everyone to understand that. I can also mention him stabbing his best friend in the side of the mouth because he got a math problem wrong. Now, was it an easy math problem? Sure, whatever, cool. Stabbing your friend with a fork is crazy. And I'm pretty sure he stabbed Narancia, twice? Was it twice? Fugo, he honestly was crashing out in the little bit of screen time and just time in general he got. It was actually insane. But in order to move on, we have to go to somebody who is closer to the characters we've already talked about. He's actually the closest to the characters we talked about. Dio's Son. Which one? Donatello versus. Donatello versus had me dying with his crash outs because they were a lot more modern Dio. Like, they were modern Dio, but Dio as a kid. And this is a Dio who just doesn't care about his reputation or nothing. Cause man, oh man, never did I think I would see the day in JoJo's where there would be a character that is just so blandly, so brazenly telling you to shut the fuck up. Cause Donatello versus says it like 4 or 5 times. Shut the fuck up. And it makes it worse because his whole attitude to like almost everything is low-key and I don't give a fuck type, leave me alone type shit. So like his crash outs, they're funnier, at least to me, because man, who else do you know would tell the main villain of their parts, someone who is technically their fucking boss? Cause at this point, Poochie was technically this nigga's fucking boss. Who's doing that and saying, "Yo, shut the fuck up, bro. I got it." And like, mind you, saying it multiple times. It's not like it's a one-time thing. No, that's just how he talks to you and everyone else. And to make matters worse, this man, he is so much like Dio, it's kind of insane. He stole the weather report disc off him, and he said, "You know what? Y'all got me tied up. Cool. I'm gonna cause a bigger problem for you," and launched that bitch to weather report. Cooked. But if I'm being honest with Donatello versus and like Fugo, it's very valid. This man went to jail for something he didn't do at 13, and everything in his life just kept downward spiraling all the way until he got his stand ability officially by pissing on a wall. Yes, that's how he got his stand ability. But honestly, in my opinion, those are the biggest crash outs. If you want a part 2, let me know. And if you did enjoy this video, let me know. We're on the road to 10K, so anything helps. And until next time, peace. Police officers have shown up multiple times in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, and they've shown up in very different ways. Some have been very good, like for example Josuke's grandfather, and some have been pretty awful, like for example the police officers we saw in part 2. But I honestly want to talk about them as a whole and how they're represented in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures because it left me kind of interested. Now, I do want to comment on a few things that I find interesting. Now, for one, the very few good quote-unquote police officers that we get in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, which is Josuke's grandfather, the one police officer in part 1, and there's another one I can't remember. Well, oh yeah, Bakio's partner. All 3 of them, well, except the first one in part 1, those 2 died in very heroic ways for less heroic people. And that honestly tells me something, because originally I was just going to talk about the bad, but I want to start on talking about the good, because I think there's something that Hirohiko Araki adds in there that if you're not paying attention, you're really just not going to think about. It's the duality side of a police officer. He shows both sides as what he would consider a good officer, which the one who does the heroic act, who looks out for the town and does everything he can, and a bad officer, someone like Bakio. When he was officer, he was a bad officer. Or someone like the part 2 cops, D&G in part 6, or even the security guards in part 6. Well, part 6 just has a lot, honestly, but more often than not, Hirohiko Araki showcases us the bad sides of police officers and their corruption, what they do, how they treat people of color, for example, or how the citizens will treat the police officers just trying to help them keep things in order. Or, you know, he shows all those different sides to where he's not blatantly saying, oh, well, all police officers are bad, at least. And I'm only talking from his perspective, I'm not talking from mine. He's not blatantly saying all police officers are bad. He's saying there's nuance in this line of work like almost everything else, but a lot of them do turn bad. And it feels like once you put it all together, like all the different depictions he's given of police officers, he's making a critique of them, same way like he was making a critique in part 8 of the healthcare system and just like the healthcare industry as a whole. Or in part 7 he was making a critique of politics and politicians and dictatorships and imperialism as a whole. I feel like he definitely, you definitely can make a critique of police officers, because he purposely shows us his ideas of a good officer, and that being one of a heroic officer, someone who would put their life on the line for their family, whatever they're trying to protect or whatever they need to protect. And then he also showed his idea of a bad officer, one that is easily susceptible to corruption, one that is easily acceptable to injustice, one that turns a blind eye to danger and crime. And that's a part of the reason why, at least in my opinion, I love like the Abakio cop mini arc we got right before his passing in part 5, because that story is one of corruption and redemption. Abakio, he goes into the police academy as a young, bright-eyed, cheery kid who only wants to help people and protect the people in his city. But soon enough, going through the police academy and just being on patrol, he realizes the people in his city kind of fucking suck. None of them appreciate him, none of them really care about him, and all they do is yell at him day in, day out. And he got so angry to a point where he just let it go, and he started taking bribes. He started allowing things like prostitution to go on in the street, and it all came to a head when one night a robber he had let actually go after he took a bribe from him was robbing a shop, and he came in there and he was too nervous or too anxious once he realized who it was to do anything, and the shooter pulled out a gun, shot his partner. Now we all know that his partner getting shot literally changed Abakio's entire life, his entire perspective, and the way he lived the rest of his life. But after Abakio died, and before him and his partner end up ascending to heaven, they're at a coffee shop, and Abakio sitting there drinking a glass of wine. His partner's inspecting for shards of glass, and Abakio asked him, what is he going to do when he doesn't find anything? And his partner said, it's not about finding results, because once you look for results, you start to take shortcuts. And once you take shortcuts, you won't get the results you want. You lose sight of the truth. That's what he said. And after he says that to Abakio, this is where Abakio, he tries to get back on the bus, tries to become alive again. And his partner says, yeah, that's the last bus. You're here forever, bud. But his partner tells him that he's proud of him, because he really did redeem himself through his life and through working with Bruno and the rest of that group to go against the boss to try and essentially save Italy and save the children from being strung out on the street. You did it. That was what you were supposed to do at the beginning anyway, you know what I mean? But it was a beautiful way to display trial and error, redemption, and disgrace. Like, that's one of my favorite times that trope has been done, because I just love the way that it was displayed for the audience to see. But honestly, I think Abakio's story was somewhat of a description for cops. A lot of cops end up, especially because they're human and there's a job that like you can mess up a lot, end up messing up a lot. But a lot of them don't even have the bandwidth to feel bad enough to go through redemption, or a lot of them will never get repercussions bad enough to make them go through redemption, so they'll just keep doing what they do. And that's why I feel like with Abakio, there was the two different sides that you see of him: the police officer version of him and the version of him at the ending when he's finally at peace. Those are the two sides you could see in JoJo's when it came to police officers. There was always a nice, young, cheery officer, and then there's always an officer who doesn't really care and only wants to get his job done. I was editing this video and I had realized that I forgot to talk about the new police officers that were shown in part 9, but I was thinking about it and I was literally like, I feel like it builds off what I was saying literally just now. Those officers in part 9 show the two sides of the same coin that I was just talking about. They are evil, yes, or they're a part of the bad side. They're corrupt, yes, but again, Araki has a theme with corrupt cops. When you see corrupt cops in JoJo, they go down, and then even when you see good cops in JoJo, usually they go down. So what does that say about Araki and how he feels about cops? Okay, last part's a joke. But if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think about Araki's thoughts on police officers. And until next time, we're on the road to 10K. Peace. Steel Ball Run comes out in 3 months. And since it comes out in 3 months, I have more than enough time to start unleashing the SBR vault and making SBR videos, because I said to myself, I'm not going to make that many SBR videos until we at least know it's coming soon, or at least, you know, something like this. But we know it's 3 months away. We're good. So today you're getting a funny Valentine video. Yes, it's like my 5th funny Valentine video in like 6 months, but I don't care. And in this video, I'm actually somewhat defending Funny Valentine. Now, one thing with Funny Valentine, and it's not even really defending, honestly. If you read the title, it's just saying you can like him without defending his actions. So, I mean, whatever you call that, that's what I'm doing today. Because the thing with Funny Valentine is, to me, he's like a top 2 villain in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. Like 100%, hands down. He's what a villain should be. That's how much I really do like him, and I like him mainly because of his writing. When Araki wrote Funny Valentine as a villain, he cooked so hard, because it was literally a direct critique of imperialism and monarchs and fascism. It was a direct critique, because Funny Valentine, his whole goal was to create a global system of American imperialism where America stays on top, and any misfortune that they do or that happens befalls onto another country. Meaning, if America's first and then one day they wake up and they're like, oh, we need more resources, let's go to war with someone in the Middle East, and they go to that war, they aren't losing the war. As a matter of fact, they're slaughtering almost everyone there, because there's no bad luck that will befall onto them. They will find all the resources they will need and even more, and they will probably just set up camps around those countries so that they can always go back for more resources. Like, Funny Valentine, his whole plan by definition was create America as the global fascist system, the global superpower that no one can touch. Beep. Like, that's it. And the great thing about Araki is that he wrote Funny Valentine in a way to where people weren't necessarily paying enough attention or close enough attention towards his actions. Funny Valentine's actions tell you everything you need to know about how awful of a person he is. You know, this is a guy who, random train conductor, he pushes off the train and effectively kills him because he was on the train. Just because, honestly, I don't think we ever got a real definition or explanation for that, but really just because he pushed him off the train. Hell, his whole evolution of a power is literally, oh, you can't hurt me, but you can hurt him. Like, that's literally his whole power. You can't hurt me in the United States of America, standing where I am right now, right next to Saint's corpse, but you can hurt this random person in North Korea who's farming, trying to provide for their family, and you're going to feel real bad for that, aren't you? But the reason it works so well is because he feels no shame in what he's doing. He feels like what he's doing isn't wrong, isn't bad, and that what he's doing is just essentially helping his country the best way he knows how to. But in that helping his country the best way he knows how to, you also have to talk about his ego. Funny Valentine has an extremely large ego in part 7. That's why he proclaims, I, not America, I will be the one to take the first napkin. I will be the one who gets the jump on everyone else before they can even find out about the Saint's corpse. It's going to be me. I'm going to win. That's another reason why when that scene with him and a disguised Lucy Steele happened, and he's like, oh, I need more heirs to my throne. That tells me he was never trying to have just a regular 4-year pregnancy. He was trying to create a monarchy. He was trying to create something he could pass down to his children, if he died. You know what I mean? So that should tell you alone that his words and actions do not match. They don't meet. But that's one thing I love about him. With Funny Valentine, you really have to really lock in and pay attention. Because people listen to his speech about the napkins, about the way of the world, about who has to be first and who's last or who's second. And they're so enamored by it, and they say, oh, his patriotism is off the charts. But in reality, he's doing this for him. In the only way he knows how to, because that's all he's ever known. All he's ever known was being a soldier or being in the war or helping America. His father died for America. That's all he's ever known. So in his own way, he does want to help America, but the only way he sees how to help America is to become the ultimate ruler himself. But now that I talked about that part, we have to get into the other nuanced part where I'm actually talking to you, the audience. I need y'all to stop defending this man, and or no, really just stop defending him. That is what I'm talking to. You don't have to defend a shit person, a shit character, just because they did bad things. I have characters I like Poochie, for example. He's my favorite Jojo villain. I love Poochie. Poochie's a shit person, though. He's an awful person. Funny Valentine is a shit person. Yet, for whatever reason, Funny Valentine fans have this instinctive need to be like, oh, but he didn't know, or oh, but he's trying to help his country. You don't even, and they won't even mention the actual full range of everything he wants to do, because they probably didn't even fully read SBR, or if they did, it was years ago or something like that, which again, fine, cool, whatever. But I'm just saying, you don't have to defend this guy. You don't. Like, I know Funny Valentine hasn't done the extremely worst things ever, like ever, you know what I mean? But still, you don't have to defend him. Every villain does bad things, yes, but why would you defend a villain in that instance when they're just completely dead fucking wrong? You just be like, oh yeah, Funny Valentine's my favorite character. Oh yeah, I love D4C. I love Funny Valentine's character. I love Funny Valentine's writing. Those are all valid reasons to love a character. You know what I mean? But it's when you cross into that territory, like I'm really trying to get y'all to visualize, when you cross into that territory to where you start being like, oh, Funny Valentine did nothing wrong, he was just trying to help his country. Or Funny Valentine, he didn't know that girl was 14. He didn't know. Even if he didn't know, the way Funny Valentine was moving in those panels, which again, if you need me to pull up, I will. He was going to catch a rape charge either way, knowing or not knowing. And also, don't be one of those people who are like, oh, I can't believe you don't like this villainous person because they do villainous shit. No, duh, I don't like that nigga, okay? Like, what is that supposed to mean? Like, again, I get it. No, I get the reasoning behind saying that, because there are a lot of villains, there are a lot of people who like a villain who commits mass genocide, not murder, genocide. But they won't like a villain who's a rapist and a murderer. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's however you interpret the manga or whatever. But for me personally, if I'm watching a villain, I know they're literally the scum of the fucking earth. But I would never make fun of somebody for not liking a villain, for doing villainous things. Like, it's just, to me, it's just, you just don't like them, I guess. But really, the only thing that grinds my gears personally is when people start defending his actions for some weird reason, like they're obligated to or something. You're not. You're defending his actions to someone whose opinion of him is not going to change. So I don't even know. You're wasting your thumbs because you're typing so much. I don't know what to say. But yeah, bro, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We're on the road to 10K. I got a few more SVR videos coming out very soon, so stay tuned for that. And until next time, peace. All of my JoJo fans, today is a joyous day because it is the day before. When I'm recording this, it's the day before
we're going to be seeing some new SBR news coming very, very soon at Jump Festa on December 20th and December 21st. Now, I'm making this video, and if you are a part of my members only, which you can join by going to the tab, joining my membership, you got this video early. So you saw this video before probably the 21st. But really, I just wanted to make this a quick video. I don't think I'm going to talk for that long in this video because there isn't much to talk about. We have everything that I've been speculating on for a while. The only thing that we're really missing right now is an official release date, which could be where we get it tomorrow, at least for me. We could be getting, more information about SBR, more information about the voice actors. I'm pretty sure it's confirmed we're getting more information about the voice actors. More voice actors may be revealed because there are things like on the itinerary that just say stay tuned, that just say to be continued, you know what I mean? But the good thing is I'm pretty sure all of it's going to be streamed on YouTube under the Warner Bros. Anime section. I may try to stream it in my Discord server, just see what options I have, see if it's doable, talk to some of my mods and stuff. Now the time slot we really have to look at is, it's an event slot where it says from 3:30 to 4, I'm pretty sure Japan time. All it says is stay tuned. So we do not know what that is. We don't know what that is. We don't know what that could be. It could be something special. It could be nothing. We have no clue. We have nothing on nothing. But my guess, and again, this is my job to make wild, inaccurate guesses. But my guess is that we maybe get like another key art piece and the release date, or they just put the release date on an already made key art piece. Teaser trailer, or another teaser trailer, or actual trailer, I don't know. As a matter of fact, I could see it happening. And the only reason being, they're supposed to announce more cast members at this event. But really, again, I need to stress this, it's mostly coming on the 21st, because on the 20th, from what I see, it's really all regular stuff. On December 20th, which is Saturday, as the mini stages, which in the mini stages you just get Johnny and Gyro's voice actor hosting from 1:30 or from 12:30 to 5, and then but in the events, again, mini stage hosting, it's the same people hosting. But the second day, it says the voice actors for Steven Steele and Lucy Steele will host the first 30 minutes, then Johnny and Gyro will host the next like hour-ish, 2 hours. Well, no, host the next 30 minutes, which is like an hour after that. Then an hour after that, or an hour and 30 minutes after that, it just says cast to be announced, which is giving me, it's giving me to think maybe the next set will probably be something like Diego and the Hot Pants voice actor hosting those next 30 minutes. Honestly, it could really be the trailer. Again, I don't want to stress it too much, but again, this is an accuracy prediction. I don't know, and I haven't been too off on all my predictions, but even though really they just follow the patterns of the previous parts. And in the previous part, if I remember correctly, didn't we get a teaser first, then after that a trailer dropped a little bit later? I cannot remember for the life of me, but I do know a trailer dropped three-ish months before Stone Ocean came out. If it is true that we're supposed to be getting SBR in March, this could be the perfect time and the perfect opportunity for them to drop a full trailer after already dropping the teaser. Now, another thing I do want to let y'all know is that if you are going to be watching this from EST, like when you're trying to stream the event, the times are 10:30. It's essentially 10:30 p.m. to 3 a.m. That's for the first day, and for the second day, it's 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. So it's going to be a long watch, even though they're only having mini stages that in the mini stages they only last maybe 30 minutes. So if you wanted to, you could do something like try to show up at the last one, which is supposed to be from 1:30 to 2 a.m. where you may catch where the trailer is supposed to be, because that's the only event that has not officially been announced yet. No one said anything about that event yet, and I'm waiting on it. I think that could be it, really, because once we get the trailer, from there, oh man, I think the community is finna get extremely active. If we get that trailer, the community is finna be, because right now we're already pretty active. That photo that was posted like a few days ago, I don't know if y'all saw it, but it was maybe like 3-4 days ago. It got like 5 million views on Twitter, and like on TikTok. I seen the video, like videos of it blow up multiple times. You know what I mean? It just seems like we're in a good spot. This seems to be probably the last event before SBR actually comes out. At least hopefully, this is what I'm hoping. But let me know what y'all think. I'm excited. I'm waiting. I and many others have been waiting for 4+ years. It's going to be beautiful. But if you did enjoy the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. You know, we're on the road to 10K, so anything helps. And until next time, peace. The Oingo Boingo episode is one of the best episodes within part 3, in my opinion. I love Stardust Crusaders. I really did enjoy it. But it was insanely long. But a part of that long journey was the Oingo Boingo brothers, and I was happy. But the thing was, they definitely knew Oingo was disguising himself as Jotaro. I'm sorry. But if you go back to the episode, right? Because recently I rewatched the episode. There are so many ridiculous variables where it's like, come on. Like, for example, the cigarette trick. That off the bat, I don't think Jotaro's ever done that. Ever. I think Jotaro has never done that in his life. I think maybe he did, like, what was the first part, like 5, you know, to look cool or whatever. But after that, no, I don't think he ever did more. Because one thing that is apparent is apparently Jotaro acts different in part 3 off screen, which again, if you read between the lines in part 3, that's kind of low key clear. But still, I don't think he did that. Like, there's nothing in the world that can make me think he actually did that. And for 2, Jotaro wore the same outfit for damn near half your journey already by that point. You hear me? Imagine you're walking with your friend, and for half of your fucking journey, oh no, you're traveling with your friend. Y'all leave the country. Y'all are gone for a month and a half. And after you're gone, during that entire month and a half, he has one outfit that he has literally bought multiples of, that he washes and dries. I'm pretty sure that's also confirmed too. Jotaro washes and dries his shit during the part 3, I'm pretty sure too. You think he would walk out the house without that school uniform on? And not only would he walk out without that school uniform on, put whatever the fuck Oingo had on. And this isn't necessarily Oingo shade, you know. If Oingo wasn't disguising himself as Jotaro, the fit would look better. You know, like when Oingo's just there naturally, the fit looks better. But when you're disguised as a nigga like Jotaro, and you're wearing bright orange undershirt with overalls over the top, come on, bro. Just give it up. Legitimately give it up. As a matter of fact, I looked up his manga fit. That's more, I can see him wearing that a little bit more than what he wore in the anime. And I did get it wrong. It wasn't overalls. It was a sleeveless jean jacket. It's the 80s, so I can't say too much, but wow, that's nasty. There's also the fact that he was just acting overtly weird. Like, don't get me wrong, Jotaro in part 3, he is a weirdo, but he's like the silent, not silent, no, yeah, he's not talking much type weirdo. You know, he says 3 lines, gets his shit off. Maybe he may just say a cool catchphrase once everything's done and said and done, and everything's good. That's it. He's good. Oingo, however, he was talking his head off, low key. Not even his head off. He was somewhat quiet, but it was Polnareff
and Joseph, who kept asking him questions that was literally making this man's stomach turn. He was so scared that he was secretly found out. But it was interesting to see, because it makes me wonder what the Stardust Crusaders did on their technically off days or their off times after they done beat like 2 or 3 enemies in like a day or two. Were they really just having orange peeling races like Oingo and Polnareff were about to before, because the orange was a bomb that Oingo had set, but they were about to, and then Oingo literally threw the orange because he was like, oh, Iggy picked it up from outside. And that's another thing. Iggy in particular, I think Iggy knew. You know, I can't remember, this was time periods where we were like getting the mental voice lines from Iggy, but like, I just think Iggy knew. And it's no particular reason, it's no real evidence, it's just really it's the coincidence of Iggy picking up the bomb, throwing it in the car essentially with his mouth, I think. And then after that, I think he was in the car, and then after that, Jotaro stopped Polnareff from peeling it. And then when Oingo went to go take a bathroom break, Polnareff just threw the orange out, blowing him up. Now, of course, they're like, in canon, technically, it's stated that they didn't know. But again, if you look at the dialogue scenes between Polnareff, Joseph, and Jotaro, just when they're regular, all them questions that they would have been asking the real Jotaro eventually would have been like, can y'all shut the fuck up, please? Like, I feel like after maybe the 3rd or 4th question, or not even the 3rd or 4th, really the 2nd question, he would have been like, all right, bro, let's get on this car ride. Especially after what happened at the cafe, because like right before then, Oingo and Boingo were trying to sabotage them, and they were about to eat, only for something to happen to cause all their tea and shit to spill. I wouldn't want to talk. But before I end this very short video, I do want to go back to that 5 cigarette trick, because I need to know what trick he was attempting to perform, or that Polnareff was describing, that would have 5 cigarettes in your mouth lined up like this while you're trying to drink juice. That's another reason why I think they were dead ass bullshitting him. What the fuck? Like, again, I understand it's the 80s. There isn't much to do for enjoyment. Y'all are on the road. Y'all are trying to cross the world in 50 days. But god damn, how fucking bored do you have to be? Like, that's just speed running lung cancer. Hey, I like it, and it makes me imagine Jotaro just one day being like, hey guys, look what I could do. Just puts 5 fucking cigarettes in his mouth, and they swishes them to the side so he could drink his cup of orange juice. Like, what the fuck is going on, man? What the fuck is going on? I was still like, I still remember seeing that. I'm like, there's no way they aren't fucking with him right now. Like, there's genuinely no way, especially someone like Joseph. Say what you want, per 3, Joseph was still incredibly smart. I don't believe it. And I really just think it's funny that during that whole episode, Jotaro's he was at the hospital, and he comes out just a little thirsty, and he was eating an orange, I'm pretty sure. Like, this man Jotaro was so completely far away from them, while they were all just in the car conversing with their op. Like, that's what I love about Joe's Bizarre Adventures, man. But if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We are on the road to 10K, so anything helps. And until next time, peace.